Warhammer 40,000 has quickly become my favorite franchise, from it being so unapologetically badass, over the top and grimdark, to its near infinitely deep rabbit hole that is the lore, to all the different epic heroes, units, and flushed out factions, to even just how many avenues there are to get into the franchise, from the fan animations, the games, the books, the comics, and especially for Warhammer, the miniatures. Whether you just want to do a little painting project and have a nice little model to display, or if you want to build an army and go up against someone else's army and reenact epic battles from the lore. And it is real easy to get lost into this stuff. I myself started collecting miniatures in late 8th edition, and since then I've gathered quite the collection of Black Templars, Chaos Space Marines, Star Wars Legion, and a couple other models. And now I'm even considering starting a third Orc army. But before I get too excited and start buying models for that army, I took a step back and thought I really need to start going through the models I already have, because this is an issue a lot of collectors face. You see a big box set with a lot of shiny new models, all these cool new units that you can use to either display on your shelf or use in game, and you start buying them all, but then you realize I still have to build these, prime these, and paint these. And sometimes people fall behind and their projects start to pile up, and this is what we like to call a pile of shame, which is, for simple terms, all your unfinished miniatures and projects. Most people in this hobby have a pile of shame, so if you feel like you have one, it's perfectly normal. That's kind of the purpose of this video, is I kind of want to throw my pile of shame out there and have a better understanding for what I'm up against, and maybe seeing all the models I still have to paint will motivate me even harder to really go through it. So, with that said, how many models do I have? Let's find out. Alright, starting to go down the pile of shame. Luckily, all of my models are built. I just have to either prime them or paint them. So let's first go through all the models that haven't been primed yet. Starting with the Astartes drop pod. I kinda wanted one because I love the concept of dropping troops from orbit. I mean, if you know me, you know that I'm a big Halo fan and I love ODST, so I loved that concept, but I never really pulled the trigger on getting one until now, because they used to just be for Firstborn Marines and you couldn't really take Primaris with them, but now that they got rid of that stupid inconvenience, I decided to get one. I even used it in a game against my friend, and it is honestly one of the most fun models I've ever played with. Is it the best? No, but it's still such a cool model, and I'm glad I own one. Next up is kind of a 2-in-1. We have the Muller Fiend / Forge Fiend. This is a model you can make into one of two ways, a more melee focused or a ranged focused unit, but I didn't feel like spending $70 on two different models, so I decided to magnetize it and just make one model, which was a bit of a pain, but I do think it paid off in the end. Since I've been buying a lot of vehicles and dreadnoughts, I decided to get some Tech Marines, one for my Black Legion army and one for my Black Templar army. Next up, even though I haven't decided to start an Orc army yet, I did have to at least get this model. The Goth Rocker, an Orc Rockstar. It's as awesome as it is stupid, which is perfectly on brand for the Orcs. And I just love these type of models. They're so fun. One of my favorite painted models in my collection is my Noise Marine, who I made based off the band Kiss. And the idea of having him next to this guy is just awesome. Now, being a Black Templar player, you knew I had to get me some more Primaris Crusader squads. I actually just finished painting the Crusader squads that came with the Black Templar box set, but that box set only gives you 10 Marines, and you can have a full squad of 20. So I figured I'd get the other 10 Marines, give some of them Power Fists, and have that full squad so I can just do unfathomable amount of attacks. I think each Marine can have a chainsword with like 5 attacks each, so we're talking like up to 100 attacks, which is nuts. Speaking of awesome units, I also got a squad of Hellblasters. I just love plasma guns, and it seems in 10th edition these guys are extra good, so yeah, just got a squad of Hellblaster dudes. And now let's take a look at the first box set for this video that I gotta complete. And of course, it's gotta be the brand new one. The 10th edition Leviathan box set. This box set comes with the Ballistus Dreadnought, which you can never go wrong with too many Dreadnoughts. It comes with the new Terminator sculpts, which I like the old Terminator model still, but these new ones, I just love their proportions. They look awesome. It comes with Stern Guard Veterans, which I hear they're pretty good and they do look pretty cool, but the first time I used these against my buddy, they got obliterated instantly, so maybe I'll be luckier once I paint them. It comes with Furnace Squad, which when I first saw them, I kind of thought they were kind of bland, and it's like, oh, a squad full of flamethrowers, which normally isn't the best weapon, whatever. But when I used them against my buddy, I realized, hey, you know, having 10 dudes with flamethrowers that can have up to 6 attacks, and they auto hit, especially during Overwatch where you need 6s, these guys are pretty good. I ended up one-shotting his Winged Tyrant Prime, and I almost one-shotted his Screamer Killer in Overwatch, so they're definitely a sleeper hit. And finally, you got 3 HQs, which all look pretty sick. You got the Lieutenant with a combi weapon, you got the Apothecary and Gravis armor, and you got the Captain and Terminator armor, who I actually magnetized to also make him a Chaplain in Terminator armor if I wish. Alright, now let's talk about some of the models that I've primed but still have to paint. First we have... Whoa.
Holy moly.
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for!
Dear God, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this is probably the coolest looking model I have seen, at least for Space Marines. The regular Primaris Emperor's Champion is still cool, but something was missing with him. So when I saw this Bayard's Revenge special edition version of him, I was like, I don't care if I use this guy in game or not, I have to have this model. And I'm definitely gonna take my time with him because I really want to do that awesome sculpt justice. Moving on, we have the closest thing Chaos has to a Chaplain, the Dark Apostle. Him and his little minions all look pretty cool, and this was actually a gift from my aunt one Christmas, so I'm extra excited to paint this just so I could show her what her gift looks like when it's actually built and painted. Speaking of chaplains though, we gotta talk about the Chaplain.
Grimaldus.
Yeah, this guy is pretty much one of my favorite Warhammer characters. The dude literally yelled at someone to come back to life, and they did. He is awesome, and like the Emperor's Champion model, I'm gonna take my time with this guy because I just want to do him justice. Going from one Black Templar classic to another, I also have to paint 6 Sword Brethren. These guys are such cool looking models, have such great variation, and are apparently one of the best melee units in the game right now. Huh. Maybe I should buy some more.
Shut up and sit down, you big bald fuck.
Alright, let's try to speed things up a little bit because this video is probably going to be a long one. Switching back over to Chaos, we have my Havoc Squad, which are basically heavy weapons Chaos Space Marines. These guys are pretty cool. Next, we have a 5-man squad of Raptors, which are also pretty cool. Space Marines with jetpacks and blades. You can't go wrong there. The next Chaos unit I gotta do is my Chaos Bikers. These are apparently some of the oldest sculpts in the Chaos range, and while a lot of people shit on them, I'm not gonna lie, I actually kind of like how these look, but I do still believe they deserve a huge update. I do want to pick up 3 more so I can have a full squad of bikers, but I am gonna wait until they do get that inevitable range refresh, but even the old ones still kind of have this nostalgic feel to them that I kind of like. Speaking of old nostalgic models, we have the Chaos Rhino. These guys are a little squishier than the Primaris, so it was kind of a no-brainer to give them some transport. But wait a minute, you call that a tank? That's not a tank. That's a tank. Yes, next we have the Primaris Repulsor, which is this massive tank. It looks really cool. I got it off eBay. It was heavily primed in red, so I stripped it, primed it black, and it's gonna be a big project. I might actually consider getting an airbrush for it because trying to paint that whole thing is gonna be a pain, but at the same time, it looks really cool. I can't wait. And then we have another chaplain, the chaplain on bike. The only thing cooler than a space marine on a motorcycle is a chaplain with a skull helmet on a motorcycle. And now let's get on to the second box set I have to finish, which is the 9th edition Indomitus box set. So I actually have started to work on this box set. I got a couple models done, but I still have quite a bit of the Space Marine half of the box set. I got 3 Outrider bikers, which are okay looking. I did add a few bits to make them look a little bit more unique, but they're just an okay unit. I got almost a full squad of Assault Intercessors, which are perfect if you're a Black Templar player. I actually just started the Sergeant for these guys, so they're definitely up there for projects I'm going to be starting. I got some Blade Guard veterans, which you gotta love your discount sword brethren. I'm kidding, they're fine. And then I got 2 HQs. I got the Captain with Storm Shield, and of course, another chaplain. You know, just like with Dreadnoughts, you can never have too many chaplains. God knows I have a bunch. And you're probably wondering, what about the Necron half? Well, I'm actually probably going to sell the Necron half. I think I have someone who's interested, but I gotta get back to him on that. You know, now that I think about it, maybe I shouldn't have dropped the box like that.
You're stupid! You wanna see me do it again?
Next, we got the Death Watch Combat Patrol box set. You might be asking, why did I even get this if I don't play Death Watch? Well, they're still Space Marines, and I wanted to try out all the units that the box came with. I already finished the Apothecary that I made into like a Plague Doctor theme, and the Primaris Lieutenant I was going to make into a Primaris Emperor's Champion. This was before they actually released an actual Primaris Emperor's Champion, so I ended up giving that model to my nephew to paint. But as far as the rest of this stuff, I have an Intercessor squad who's basically just going to be a Black Templar Death Watch veteran squad, and then I got 3 aggressors. The next box set we have is the Black Templar box set, and big surprise, I actually don't have to do much left for this box set. I did the Crusader squad, I did the Dreadnought. Basically, all I have left is the Marshal and the standard Emperor's Champion, so I'm pretty happy with the progress I made on that one. The next box set we have is the Chaos Space Marine Start Collecting box set. Even though there's a couple more in this one, I still made some pretty good progress on it. I finished the Masters of Possession recently, and I finished all the Chaos Space Marines within it, but the models I do have left are going to be kind of complicated paint jobs. I got the Venom Crawler, the Obliterators, and the Possessed, which are all cool looking models, but they also have a lot of details that are probably going to be a bit of a pain to paint. Ooh, I actually might not finish this one. So this was the Know No Fear box set, which is one of the first box sets I ever got when I was getting into Warhammer, back when I actually was thinking of starting a Death Guard army before I switched over to Black Legion. I did finish the Space Marine half, and I actually did finish a couple of the Plague Marines and Poxwalkers, but as far as the Plague Drone, the other Poxwalkers, and the Lord of Contagion, yeah, I don't know, I might just end up selling these, or at the very least, if I do paint them, I might be converting them to Black Legion and just have them be stand-ins for Cultists or a Terminator Lord. I don't know. So those are all my Warhammer models, but there are still some Warhammer models from my friends who I might be painting with. Starting with my one buddy, me and my other buddy gifted him some Custodes because we know how much he really likes them in the lore. However, while he likes the lore of Warhammer, he's not so big on the painting and the tabletop. He did try to paint with a test model, but he was kind of indifferent to it. So I might be ending up painting this for him. I would like to see him paint it so he gets the experience and also so I don't have another project on my shoulders, but who knows what's going to happen with that. However, while he isn't as crazy about the tabletop, my other friend does like the tabletop and has a Grey Knights army. Now, he was very generous for last Christmas, so to pay him back, I actually volunteered to paint a lot of his Grey Knights army because while he loves the tabletop, he doesn't really have a lot of time to actually build and paint. So I kind of wanted to help him by painting his Grey Knights. I've actually made a lot of progress, but now that I'm getting close to December, I don't know if I'll be able to finish, but he's already seen what I have finished, and technically that I guess is more than enough, but I would like to finish this set for him. So that's all the Warhammer models. Now let's talk about Star Wars Legion. I have one squad left from the box. Yep, I actually made a lot of progress. I finished the droid half of my box set, and I already pretty much finished most of the clones. I just have to do one more squad of generic clones and that's it. In fact, the only reason these guys aren't done is because I made the thumbnail for this video ahead of time, and on the thumbnail is the Star Wars Legion box. So I would kind of be a bit of misinformation to put that on there if I already finished them. So I'm sure you probably know which project I'm starting next once this video's done. And last but not least, we have a bunch of random Halo minis. This was from some random Halo board game that my buddy got for me a long time ago. Like, we're talking the glory days during like Halo 3 days when I was really getting into Halo for the first time. And unfortunately, I don't have all of them. My mom used some of them to decorate a birthday cake one year, but the candles kind of melted some of them. So all I got left are 2 brutes, 2 grunts, 2 generic Spartans, a marine, and then the Arbiter and Master Chief. From the box, these guys were just one generic color, but I feel like I can give them a really nice paint job, and who knows, maybe if I want to do something fun in Warhammer, I can make them rules and kind of do like a crossover event. And that is my pile of shame. Now, compared to some of the pile of shames I saw on the internet, this is far from the worst, but I'm not gonna kid myself, this is still a lot. In fact, I counted that there's about around 160 models on this table, including some massive tanks, monsters, and drop pods. Now, a lot of this does come from box sets, which are an easy trap for your pile of shame because a lot of these box sets are only temporary and have exclusive models. Also, can be great deals to just buying a lot of the models that come in that box individually, but the trade-off being you're now stuck with a lot of models. Yeah, I might have to hold off on that orc army, though I will admit, I am feeling a little more motivated to whip out my wet palette and paints and brushes and actually get working on this. There are some areas where I could definitely trim the fat, and there are definitely a couple that I might not even paint. I might either sell or let my friends paint. And talking about each of these models has gotten me more excited to start some of them. So yeah, that is my pile of shame. Thanks for actually taking the time to sit here and hear me talk about my collection of unfinished, overpriced plastic toys. And yeah, if you guys have a pile of shame, no matter how big or small, let me know in the comments. I'm very curious to see what you're all working on. And until then, I'm gonna get working on my pile of shame.